Why was South Africa's entry into World War II so contentious? In this video, we examine the politics of J.M.B. Hertzog's government in the 1930s and how lingering anti-British sentiment among the Afrikaners contributed to their reluctance to support Britain during World War II. If this interests you, then please keep watching. During World War II, the Republic of South Africa, then known as the Union of South Africa, fought alongside Britain and the other Commonwealth nations against Italy, Germany, and Japan. However, South Africa was extremely reluctant to enter the conflict in 1939, owing to pro-German sympathies and a lingering anti-British sentiment. To understand these dynamics, we must first explore South African interwar politics. From 1924 until 1939, J.M.B. Hertzog was the Prime Minister of South Africa, and he would be pivotal in South Africa's reluctance to enter the war on Britain's behalf. Before he became Prime Minister, Hertzog was a former general in the Second Boer War between 1899 and 1902. The Boers, also known as the Afrikaners, were Dutch settlers who arrived in South Africa from the 1680s through the mid-1700s. These settlers originally lived in the Cape of Good Hope region and slowly developed their own dialect of Dutch known as Afrikaans. However, these Afrikaners did not stay in the Cape of Good Hope area forever and eventually left during the Great Trek, with many settling on the South African grasslands near the Orange and Vaal rivers. Here, the Afrikaners created independent republics, the largest of which were the Transvaal and the Orange Free State. During the Boer War, the British conquered these Afrikaner republics, and their invasion caused many Afrikaners to resent the British. Only 9 years after the Second Boer War ended, South Africa was founded as a self-governing British dominion from two British colonies and the recently conquered Orange Free State and Transvaal. This story is important since it was the history and culture that Hertzog and many other Afrikaner nationalists had, and it guided their anti-British stance. While Hertzog was Prime Minister since 1924, his anti-British bias became most pronounced from 1933 onward. While Hertzog was an Afrikaner nationalist, he was also a lifelong admirer of Germany and appointed many cabinet members and advisors who shared this perspective. For instance, in 1933 he appointed Oswald Piro as Minister of Defense, a man with strong anti-British sentiments who deeply admired top Nazi officials in Germany. Additionally, H.D.J. Bodenstein became Herzog's closest advisor on foreign affairs during this time period. Bodenstein, like Herzog, was an Afrikaner nationalist and held deep anti-British bias. According to Sir William Henry Clark, the British High Commissioner to South Africa, Bodenstein was best friends with the German consul and always presented the British position in the worst possible light to Herzog. Finally, Herzog's appointed diplomat to Berlin, Stephanus Guy, was also pro-German, frequently writing reports to Herzog justifying Nazi foreign policy. With this pro-German Afrikaner nationalist cabinet, Herzog's government first broke with British foreign policy when Germany remilitarized the Rhineland, violating the Treaty of Versailles in 1936. While Britain's response to this action was restrained and disapproving, Herzog's diplomats wholeheartedly supported this decision, parroting back Nazi positions on the issue. The mismatch of Herzog's government and the British South Africans was once again revealed during the 1938 Sudeten crisis. While the British were preparing to fight Germany if negotiations over the Czechoslovakian Sudetenland failed, Herzog informed the British that he would not fight any war against Germany in defense of Czechoslovakia, believing all of Eastern Europe to be rightfully German. This once again shows how Herzog's government parroted German foreign policy of the time, since the Germans also believed Eastern Europe was theirs to conquer. While the Sudeten crisis was ongoing in 1938, Herzog made his position clear to the British government. He warned that if war ever broke out between Britain and Germany, South Africa would remain completely neutral, despite its status as a British colony. This position was unacceptable to Hertzog's pro-British cabinet members. Led by Deputy Prime Minister Jan Smuts, this group began planning to use pro-British members of the South African Parliament to topple Hertzog's government if war between Germany and Britain did come. Ultimately, the crisis in 1938 was averted, thanks to British Prime Minister Chamberlain's Munich Agreement, which left Germany unable to provoke a broader war with the West. However, peace would be short-lived, as Germany continued to aggressively expand their empire by invading Poland on September 1, 1939. This was a red line for the British and the French governments, and only 2 days later, on September 3, 1939, both declared war on Germany. The next day, the South African Parliament erupted into debate. The unthinkable moment had arrived, and now the legislature needed to decide if South Africa would follow Britain's lead or set their own course. In the debate, Prime Minister Hertzog led the anti-British Afrikaner Nationalists, who argued against helping Britain in their foreign war. Deputy Prime Minister Jan Smuts led the opposition to Herzog's proposed neutrality, since he saw it as South Africa's duty to aid Britain. Ultimately, the parliament voted to enter World War II by 80 to 67. Herzog, now desperate, demanded that the Governor-General dissolve Parliament and call a general election on the matter. When this request was denied, Herzog resigned in frustration. In his place, the pro-British Smuts became Prime Minister of the Union of South Africa on September 6, 1939. Interestingly, Smuts was also an Afrikaner who had fought against the British in the Second Boer War of 1899 to 1902. However, unlike Herzog, Smuts seemed to harbor no grudges against the British. Due to his military expertise in both the Boer War and World War I, Smuts was invited to the British War Ministry in 1939, where he advised British Prime Ministers Chamberlain and later Churchill on the war. While advising the British War Ministry, Smuts reorganized the South African Armed Forces into a modern fighting force made up of hundreds of thousands of volunteers. These men fought on many fronts, such as in Kenya, Ethiopia, Egypt, Libya, and later Italy, and played an important role in toppling Mussolini's fascist Italy. In the future, I will make more detailed videos on the military history of South Africa during World War II. But for now, I hope you enjoyed learning the politics behind South Africa's contentious entry into the war. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful.